Hello, I just called up Mimo and seen if she wants to talk about God today, and she didn't answer her phone, so let's get to it. I'm going back to some very old articles of mine. I believe these are from, when did I meet Victor? Around 2009? 2009. So these articles are from about 2009 and 2014, which doesn't seem like a long time ago, but it's like over a decade ago. And what you want to do every time in life, and this is important to know in life, uh, is I'm also going to put my camera up, add a camera up here. In life, you want to keep your old media, right? You always want to keep your video games, you want to keep your books, and you want to just because they're part of you, right? And what happens is when you read over your old books, your old media, play the old video games, you remember who you were, right? And it's amazing actually. It's pretty cool. Let's try to add my camera here, and then I don't. But there you go. I have my camera here. I don't care if it's anything special. Oh, it's all red and stuff. I like that. All right. So that's just me. I no need to see my. I guess you can see my thing here, and we'll just leave it like that. I don't want to make it all special and everything. My guy's all like MTV, pink style. I like that. So we're talking about going back through your old media, some beautiful things. Why you don't sell your games to GameStop at first. So I'm going to read my old articles from about 10 years ago. Prayerfully, God will have me remember who I was, how much I changed, and where we can go from there, and inspire me for ideas. So we're going to just rule down from the very big top down to the bottom. And these, like I said, these are from 2010 to 2014 about the affect effect. I believe this one, I like this one actually. Anytime something disastrous happens, people always ask, where is God in all this? Why can bad things happen to good when God is good? It is perfectly natural to ask questions like this. Let's do an index. I always want to do an index of answering questions for people. Where is God in all this? And that would be the affect effect right here. And I'm doing indexing right here because I said something I always want to do back in the day. After we answer lots of questions, have them all indexed together. Where is God in all this? Okay. Now that'll be like I'll have a list of articles for that, right? Or why do bad things happen when God is good? Same thing. I'll remember that. It's the same question really. Uh, and it's perfectly natural for ask questions like this. Where you cross the line is when you get angry at God for anything He does. Or like say you mock God, right? Some people like I'm gonna get some water here. If I have water here, I'm just gonna talk about like the zero sum game of mocking God. Right? So yesterday I was down Pittsburgh, paid $50 to watch Dogma and get a Q&A with Kevin Smith. He's a very entertaining guy. Basically got some stand up from Kevin Smith, and it was worth the money. Not normally I don't say like paying $50 to go see like a movie director, movie star talk is worth it. I mean, I've saw only other one guy was like that was Captain Kirk, William Shatner. He had a pretty good talk. It wasn't as fun as Kevin Smith, but it was kind of worth what I paid for it, right? When he was in Shatner's world about 10 years ago. Now, Kevin Smith made a movie called Dogma, and when I was a new Christian, when I was what's it called, like when you're a new Christian, you don't want to make mistakes. You want to learn, right? And that's good. You want to be sheltered when you're a new Christian. You don't want to make judgment calls. You don't want to hear someone do this or that. So I couldn't get through Dogma the first time I watched it. It was like, I don't know, this is too radical. But as a mature Christian, who's been a Christian since 2003, that's 22 years. Pretty solid in my theology. A lot of people watch Dogma. They're expecting a religious movie. It's a fictional movie. It's a movie that's designed to have like uh, something that can be resolved. If God's in control right now, right? God's in control. So it's hard to make a movie about God because um, like you don't want to say what God would do, or if God's there, well, He can resolve it, and etc. So it's a work of fiction, and people, like I said, there's people protested, got up in arms, but Kevin tried to be respectful for the first round around, and he's saying, well, I don't believe in God anymore, so the next one's not going to be as respectful, and I'm thinking to myself, Kevin, like mocking God is a zero sum game, even if you gamble right. If you gamble and you're right and say like God's not real, for whatever reason, I know He is, but then there's nothing to be gained. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing to be gained by mocking God if he's not real, right? A lot to lose. Right. So I've always, that's one of my things. I stopped watching South Park a solid like 20 some years ago, 20 plus years ago. Yeah, I think it was in college back then, yeah. So it might have been 25 years plus, you know. I stopped watching South Park when I realized, dude, they're making fun of Jesus. It's like I told myself, well, there's nothing to be gained. Like it's a zero-sum game. It's a gamble that you can only lose, and even when you win, you get nothing, right? If there's a gamble, it's like flip a coin. I give you $0. If it's heads, tails, you give me $1. You're not going to play that game, right? So why would you play the game of mocking God, right? So I'm just doing that as a tangent to start up. I'm going to go back to reading my articles. I had to get some water. Good morning. It's Saturday. It's the Sabbath for me. I like to take the Sabbath off in solidarity with the Jewish people, because why would they want to have a division between Jewish and Christian? It's the same religion. It's a religion of love. It's about being nice and helping people around. You die to self, live to love. Now I'm going to check to see the lighting on this thing, and we'll get back to it. This lighting might be a little too intense. That might be why my face is all like shining. There we go. All right, let's go. Let's go back here. So we started out. Where's God? Why bad things happen when God is good? That's perfectly acceptable to ask. We know it's original sin, but that's too easy of an answer. You know, it's too original sin is like, then why what's the devil doing? You know, why does God let the devil exist and everything? Well, before I read the article, I don't want to spoil my thought with my old thought, right? Sometimes you don't want to spoil yourself, you know. It's so. My current thought on this situation, why do bad things happen when God is good? Well, number one, we just said original sin, right? And what's original sin lead to? So, well, you have a choice to do good or to do evil. That's your choice. Do you want to help people? It's one of my books from physics. One of my books from college. It's a pretty nice physics book. It's for E&M and stuff. But so, do you want to do good or you want to do evil, right? Why would I want to do evil? Well, look at it this way. When you do evil, you can serve yourself. You know, if you have a bunch of money, I mean, you could buy you can go out to steakhouses every day. If you have a bunch of money, you can invite a girl on a yacht, right? Be like, hey, I really wouldn't have a chance with this girl if I went around. I wouldn't have a chance with this girl if I was helping all these people, the local villagers. They need food and everything. But like, you know, if I help all these little local villagers, well, get by, you know, pay their medical bills, you know, buy them, you know, Taco Tuesday, you know, fix their appliances. Well, then I'll have no money for myself. Then how will I ever get a girl when I have no money and women want money, a certain amount of money for their man? You're like, well, why would I want to help other people when I could be helping myself? And in fact, if I had a lot of money, I could pass this money on to my descendants, and they would have a better chance of survival. That's what a worldly man says. That's what an atheist says. This is what men of the world say. If you are not following God, you are a natural man. You like your food, you like your relationships, you like your luxuries. It's just how man's designed. Now the problem is, we're supposed to be a brother's keeper. We're supposed to go out there, and we're supposed to help everybody around us, you know. But not everybody's doing that. That's the choice. Do you trust in God? Do you trust in God and die to self? Because God says, if you die to self and live for others, I will give you more than you would have had if you're selfish, right? Well, then that's a question of faith. Do you have enough faith to believe God would do that for you? Do you have enough faith to believe that if I give to others, the pie gets bigger, so nothing is lost? You know, God says, you know, better to give than receive, right? Better to give than receive. What he means by that, it's not that feeling in your heart. It's not that feeling in your heart when you give. I'm doing housework while we talk. This is great. I think when I do talks, this would be a good way to passively fix my house. So it is not a lot of cards here. So when it's better to give than to receive, right? That feeling in your heart, that's God, dude. That feeling in your heart's God when you give. That's not what's better to give than receive. More blessed to give than receive. It actually means God is making the pie bigger when you give. Okay, like you might think you gave away something. No, you've made more for all of humanity when you give and help other people. Because that's the only way it would work. You need supernatural blessings for this system to work. People are like, oh, I don't need God. I don't need God. Well, you don't need God. You're saying you don't want more to be made. You don't want, when you hand someone something, ooh, there's a key in there. Oh, excellent. I need to make one of those. So that actually solves the problem. I like to put stuff in my wallet, like, like a backup key in case you lock yourself out. I like to tell two brain cells, he's the smartest of men, he's the dumbest of men, right? So you mitigate your dumbness, by the way. I just fell down. You mitigate your dumbness, case in point, with safety nets, like a big fat couch. Big fat couch. I just fell on a big fat couch. But anyway, so reeling it back in, I definitely need to reel it back in. I got too many tangents. We're talking about God, talking about goodness and helping people around you. You trust God, right? So it's better to give than to receive. But the most important thing is, remember, it's more blessed to give than receive. More blessed to give than receive means God makes the pie bigger. And by the way, that couch was feeling pretty good right now, so I'm gonna go hit that couch while I talk. You get to watch me all relax on the couch while I talk. This is one of the nice things about talk shows. You're just like in your house, it's like, yeah, dude, that couch is pretty nice and comfy. Let's go visit it again. All right, so you're listening to a theology scholar who's respected by a lot. My peer went on to be second in the church, dude. They just found he was really knew what his stuff was, So I know my stuff. I know my stuff a lot more than a lot of people. Right now the Pope's WEF, so I probably know more than the Pope, right? And I'm not trying to brag, It's just the WEF is corruptible and everything. But so let's go through it again. When it's more blessed to give than to receive, God makes the pie bigger, right? So it's like, well, if we're all giving to each other, well, then we give, the pie just gets really big. And yeah, if God wants it that way, it'll be like that. You can't you can't really force the hand of God, right? You can't force them to. I give, then you give back, and you give back, and you give back, and God'll be like, oh my God, these guys are trying to force my hand, right? It's like let's say if God said babies were invulnerable, right? You can say that, if you want to say babies can't be hurt by anything, and then people be putting babies on tanks and stuff, right? You can't you can't force the hand of God, right? You can't make an experiment. There's no experiment out there that you can make God do the same thing over and over every time, right? Otherwise, like, is he even God? If you can force the hand as a man. So for a long time, scientists are so dumb. They're like, let's prove if God is right or not, and we'll do experiments to see if God will act. Okay, we're gonna hit this kid with a baseball bat. I don't know. I'm just thinking of an experiment. Like, oh, let me hit the kid, right? I mean, people do that like forever. I mean, if you go back, it's like that's what they were doing with Jesus. Like, if God was real, he would take you off the cross. So we're allowed to stab you in the arms because God would have stopped it, right? And before that, people were like, well, if God would stop you, he would save you from this cliff, throwing you off a cliff. People, really bad people have done that for a long time. If God is real, he would stop you from getting punched. Then they end up martyring someone, right? But God is real, man. And what he does is he has mercy. Though we sin, he forgives us. Because, I mean, what's God supposed to do? Stop us every time we're sin? Is God supposed to stop us every time we sin? Like, well, then I sometimes I say curse words and then they don't belong. Like, and I mean, like, you may think, oh, curse words are no big deal. You're like, oh, screw this. You're an asshole. And then you end up going to the restaurant. This is shitty, and you realize you just said shit in a restaurant, right? And there's people in the restaurant eating their food, and now they're thinking of shit, and that's not good for them, right? They're mad at you because they want to be focused on, the lovely. God says focus on the lovely, and you just made them think about shit when they're eating their food, right? So you have to watch your language, to some degree, whoever you hang out with, be everything to everyone. But we're going to reel it back into, like, it is better to give than receive. More blessed to give than receive. A lot of people think more blessed to give than receive. They think, well, I feel really good about helping people. And you do. And that's great. But that's God. That's the feeling of God in union with you doing stuff. When your heart gets tugged like a hero moment, someone saves your dog, or your dog saves you, licks you in the face. You're like, that was a close one, man. We almost bit it, and then you feel really good. That's a God moment. That tug in your heart. When your brother's keeper comes over and you're sick and they bring you over like soup and they bring you over like Gatorade. You go, we're not gonna let you go through this alone. You're like, yeah, you made me feel good, and they feel good, and that's that feel good that in your heart. That's God uniting with you, and God's so happy that He's united with the people of mankind at that time. He's like, yeah, I'm so happy I'm with you, right? That's the heart of God. Now, when it says more blessed to give than receive, like say there's a lot. Let's go to the TV evangelists. There's these scumbags say, "Give me your money and I will grant you your wishes." It's like, dude, like you're not an intermediary between God. That's Jesus, right? And then for second all, like you don't use that money on anything except like hot tubs and fancy cars and going to Vegas. Honestly, sir, you're not using that money to help the poor, the blind, the deaf. You're out there going, hey, I help myself. So when you give to someone that's scummy, why would you? That's not really a good thing to do at all. So why would God increase the pie, right? So if you give all your rent to that person, he says, if you give me all your rent, God will make you double the rent next time, and you'll get more money. No, you just give away your money to a scumbag. You're not going to get double the rent. You're going to have nothing, right? Now let's say he was a holy man. Let's say you gave to like Elijah, or like the number one prophet of all time, other than Jesus, and you're like, Elijah, this is my life savings, because I know you're on a cause for God. He'll be like, God will bless you more, my son or my daughter or whatever, and you walk away. Now you think, well, I gave him my life savings, like 1,000 silver pieces. Well, he's going to give me 3,000 silver pieces, 5,000 silver pieces. You might not get silver at all. You might just feel really good. Your family might be protected from grave dangers. You might end up just getting a field or something that's awesome. Maybe your field will produce more strawberries or something. Maybe you'll have heightened awareness of taste, so your strawberries taste great. Like things that are better than money. Obviously, ladies too. So, and this goes back to Abraham, man. This goes back to Abraham. When Abraham, the first, let's say the first Jew, right? Before Abraham, people did what they want to do, man. Sometimes they'd follow God a little bit, sometimes they wouldn't. But Abraham really did it to an extreme. He knew, like in his heart, he just chose right from wrong, right? So he's like 2000 BC. We're talking 4,000 years ago. Like stuff mattered a lot more back then than it does now. So you break if you break your like break a rake now, you're like, oh, I'll just get a new rake at Dollar General, right? Or if you drop your food on the floor, you're like, well, I'll just get some other food. No, they're talking 4,000 BC. Like everything mattered. Every little your tunic, your bags you sewed. You spent like a day and a half sewing like a hand sack so you can carry, maybe seed with you when you go farm. This everything mattered back then. If famine hit, it could wipe out and kill like a village. Lots of people in the village because no one has any food. If the crops don't go this year, you don't have enough for next year. You're barely making it day to day. It was 4,000 years ago. Everything mattered, right? So Abraham lived in the Middle East, where there was called Bedouin traders, and these people would be like thieves and do everything they can to like take what you got by giving you bad trades, right? So Abraham got thieved a lot, right? But he's never like, if they thieve me, I will thieve them more. I will become Robin Hood, the king of thieves. No, Abraham's like, you steal from me, God will provide. God will provide. You steal from me, God will provide. No big deal, right? And he did. God did provide. Despite being robbed and not taking retaliation to rob other people, Abraham became the richest man in the area. He had lots of servants. He had thousands of horses, camels, cattle, all that stuff, edibles, and he was respected. And then the real back end, how like God can bless, like you give help people out, He'll give you stuff that's better than money. Abraham married a woman of spectacular beauty, one of the most attractive women who ever walked the earth, Sarah. So you can just imagine this woman is stacked. She's like freaking like make Jessica Rabbit look like nothing, right? And she's like, it's a fantasy woman, right? But God made her real. Okay, okay. Think about it really closely. There are things in this world worth more than money. The way your food tastes, the way your relationship feels. And like I say if one person makes love to a beautiful woman, like another person making love to that beautiful woman may feel better or worse. You don't know how they're feeling when they're making love. You don't know how someone else is feeling. Sometimes maybe you're not into it. And it feels better one time, it feels worse other time. But their worst might be better than your best, and their best might be better than like anybody can imagine, right? So love making is one of those things you don't know. You can't feel someone else's pain. You can't feel someone else's pleasure, and that's a blessing from God. What you feel. It's more important than money. If you focus on money, you're focused on the wrong thing, buddy boy. You focus on money, the wrong thing. You chase after money all your life and never be satisfied. You might say, I'll put life on pause, get some money, and then go back to life. Tried that when I was 15. Like, I was doing karate. I was training under a top, fighter in karate, I said, I'll give me a year. I'm going to make a video game. I'll come back, be a millionaire. Well, I didn't make a game. I kept making a game, kept making it. Decades by, And then when I do make games, I don't get paid, right? So that was just a fool's errand to put my life on hold until I get a couple bucks, and then I'll leave Easy Street and train karate. No, that's not how it goes, man. Excuse me while I reel it in. Yeah, money is not that important. But if you do need to make rent, money suddenly is important. You have to pay your bills, money is important. So sometimes you don't want to give all your money. Sometimes you don't want to give all your money to even the best causes. You're like, hey, I know you have starving kids there, but if I don't pay you money, I'm going to drown myself, man. I'll save a couple people today, and then I won't be able to save 2 people tomorrow. So it's good to keep your head above water. When you're a lifeguard, one of the things they teach you is you don't save people. It's going to make you drown. You don't save people. It's going to make you drown. Because then you can't save people tomorrow. If you're dead today, you can't save people tomorrow. So keep yourself. So one of the things, a repeated theme of Father, Spirit, Son is live on as little as possible. Money's stupid, right? Money's something we don't care about. We've already established that money's not important as how you feel. Money's not important as like your free time. Money's not important as making love. Money's not important as your food. Money's not important at all, right? So if you can live on as little as possible, then you have more to either invest and get a yield, or you have more to help other people with. And I like to help people. I don't ever try and get a yield. Maybe I should try and get investment. I don't know. The way my financial status is right now, if I make money, I'd have to pay it off anyway because I have student loans and some other debt traps. Like they put debt traps on you when you're 18 now, And we outlawed, was it indentured servitude in like the 1700s or 1800s, right? We outlawed slavery in the 1800s, right? But we have a system just as bad as slavery now called student loans. And it's not the government. The government should be paying off, and the kids shouldn't have to pay it off either. This is a system designed by the banks to trap you. It's called universal credit. Okay, let me explain universal credit real fast. Universal credit is they give every kid. Let's just say simplified. They give every kid $20,000 for tuition, right? What's happened? Well, they all have $20,000 to vote with. So to them, that they just throw it in the ring. So now tuition went up by $20,000. It's like if you're in a street fight, right? Two kids duking it out, the 13-year-old, and then you throw two switchblades into the match, and they look down and they're pissed off, and they look at each other and like, I don't want to do it, but one grabs it, and the other one grabs it, right? It's like arms dealer, right? Or banks are like arms dealers, So like they throw the universal credit out there, like, hey, why don't you take some free money from the bank? Everybody's like, yep, take it, because just to fight, because competition and the rat race is all about fighting people with money, right? So the banks are like, ha ha, we trapped them, right? It's very, 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 very evil. The banks are very evil doing this. It's called usury. They use usury to debt trap people, and no one should be enjoying banks at this point. Everybody should be opposed to banks, but they say, well, the government should pay off the loans. And then people are like, I'm opposed to the government. I'm opposed to the Democrats. I'm opposed to Republicans. And the bankers are back there like, oh yes, we have all the houses these people should have. We have all their houses. They stole your life, dude. Bankers stole your life, and you're fighting amongst yourself, a Republican, Democrat. Just know the banks did it, man. And same with mortgages, man. Like what my grandmother, on both sides, my grandfather afforded a house and land, a lot of house, sometimes a barn and everything, on 1 year's blue collar salary. Right? Imagine affording a house, a barn, a bunch of acres on 1 year at the gas station. That's what it was like back in the 40s. Now we have more production. We have economy of scale. We have R&D. We have doing it better. We have global trade. We have computers. We have automated factories. We have robots. We have about 10,000 times the production. We should have houses that are 10,000 times as big, 10,000 times as many houses. But a lot of people don't have houses or not because of mortgages. Mortgages are just like student loans. It's universal credit, right? So, where a house would be like, say, $20,000. Well, mortgages, everybody gets $50,000, right? So all the houses rise by about, close to $50,000. I'm oversimplifying just to make the numbers easy, but when those banks give universal credit and student loans or mortgages, they are helping no one. Not a single soul is getting help, basically. Only helping themselves. And then obviously one of the biggest injustices is homelessness is not something we can't solve. Homelessness is something we cause. Anytime you go to the county and they deny your house being built, even though it's a good house and everything, they're doing it to population control. In California, it's especially heinous because they say they want to preserve the sand. Well, a building is just sand itself, right? They don't want buildings everywhere because we like the beautiful sand. No, no, no. You should like the beautiful people. If there's enough housing for everybody, well then our population grows, and that's good for national security in wars. The more people you have, the more national security you have. I mean, like imagine you had a nation as big as America. You say, well, we only want 10 people here living here. So you have 10 people living there, and then say Spain's like, dude, we have what's to do? Let's make it a bad guy. Let's say Iran's like, dude, we have like a million. We have like a couple million people here. I don't know how much Iran. I would expect like 20 million people live there. Like we have 20 million people, and you have 10 in that giant country. We're gonna go invade. It's like 20 million versus 10. Oh, we're done. They could come at you like hand-to-hand combat, and you could be like armed to the teeth with like tanks and bazookas. It still gets you, man. 10 people versus 20 million. So population is national security. Your population should not be shunning population growth. But they don't. Okay, I'm getting overcomplicated. I'm going to talk about why it's homelessness, why it's bad, right? So by denying housing, by denying building houses, what they do is they lower supply artificially. Like the free market would allow the supply to match the demand, right? But because involved in politics, they sever the free market and say, well, we're going to limit how many houses can be made. Okay, limiting is called lowering the supply, right? And that raises demand. A high demand for a product. Oh, I will pay that money for that. I want that. I demand it, right? And then people spend a lot of money on rent. Okay, that's the idea. They want to make a lot more money on rent. Because if everybody had enough, then people would be spending a lot of money on rent. No one would be really rich. And then no one's getting rich from like renting houses when there's enough houses for everybody, right? So have to make sure there's not enough houses for people. And they're like, well, the problem is there's going to be some people going homeless. Some people falling asleep. Some people going homeless. Some people suffering, getting sick, disease, getting hurt in the street and stuff. And they don't care as long as they have the money. Okay, now good from evil, right? These people are evil. They want money more than they can be their brother's keeper. Now, I'm going to finish this article up and post it up because it's pretty solid. It's been a pretty solid thing. You get to choose. Do you want to be selfless? Do you want to be selfish? Die to self. Jesus says die to selfishness. And that's the number one thing about Christianity. You have to realize you die to selfishness and live for other people. That's the number one thing of Christianity. Die to selfishness and help other people. Now, one person might help you love. Like, tell a little 4-year-old, tell a kindergartner, hey, people like to be loved, man. Go out and love people. They like to have stuff. And so you can buy us ice cream. Here, have ice cream. And all of a sudden, a person's like, I'm diabetic, can't have ice cream. And it's melting. Here, have ice cream. And the guy's like, hey, I'm on a diet. And then he goes to someone else. Here, have ice cream. And they're like, I'm lactose intolerant. But ice cream, I want to be nice to people, right? So the way of loving people is different for everybody. But the fact that you should be doing it is the most important thing. You should be trying to help people. You can't help everybody. You just can't. Some people need something you just can't provide them, and or you might not know how to get into them, figure it out, So figure out what they want. They can't, maybe you have some way to help them, but they won't talk about it because it's so damaging to them, right? All right, let's finish up this article. Just like this has been a great God talk right now. So, where is God when bad things happen? So already we established a nice talk about why some people choose to be good and help other people, die to self, live on less, and other people choose to be greedy because they have no faith. They have no faith that God will provide for them. They have no faith God will provide for them. So why would I help the village when I can have a bunch of money and own a yacht and then women will like me because I have a lot of money, right? That's the difference between a greedy person, a greedy self-centered person, and a Christian. Christian is about dying to selfishness. So you out there helping everybody. Let's read my article. It says, where's God? Why can bad things happen when God is good? So now I'm going to read my article. It is perfectly natural to ask questions like this. Where you cross the line is going to get angry at God for anything he does. God is loving and he does everything for the best of us. We cannot tell what God is optimizing for, but we can reason that he wants the maximum amount of people to make it to heaven. One man's finite suffering on earth may result in another man getting to heaven. The best thing for one person may not be the best thing for another person. Jesus suffered and died at the hands of sinful men when he didn't do anything wrong. Jesus paid the price of the cross so others can get to heaven. He was the ultimate injustice, but it was according to God's redemptive plan to save sinners. Ultimate example of bad things happen to good people, something good can happen from it. Yes, the cross is the ultimate example of that, right? Why can bad things happen to good when God is good? So that's the cross. Jesus, the sinless guy, never hurt anybody, just helped people. But they got crucified. It was the ultimate injustice. But it happened because this guy's suffering opened the path to heaven by dying for our sins. Adam blamed Eve. Eve blamed the devil. It's not written, but you know who the devil blamed. The guy's name is Satan, and the name Satan means accuser. So it's safe to assume that the devil blamed God. I mean, that's it's your fault for this going happening. He made it all. That's probably what he said, right? But Jesus didn't want to run and push blame or anything. He said, well, sure, I'll take the blame. I'll take the blame. So he died for Adam and Eve and whoever accepts him as ruler, right? Accept him as the savior. Now, the devil's not accepting him as savior, right? He's like, uh-oh. So Adam and Eve, us, down here, fallen men, we're like, yeah, Jesus will take you as savior. No, but Satan really wants to rule, so he can't really accept the lordship. And Jesus is the Lord. He will eventually. He submits, and he knows he lost because of the cross and everything, but it's interesting, the blame game. Sure, I'll take the blame. And then at this point, he's Lord of all creation, Mortal man often makes mistakes trying to perform something for the greater good. So we're talking about how, sometimes you can suffer for, I'm going to add my 2 cents. You can suffer for the greater good, right? So Jesus suffered for the greater good, right? Now, what happens if someone hates you? You're hated, and you want to hate them back, right? But Jesus says love them back, right? So when you're hated and you spread love, in a way, you're doing what's good for him. You're making the world better when you hate and don't pass it on, Someone hates you at home, at school. Kids are known to go home and kick their dog, They're so mad at something, they want to let it out. It shows they want to pass the suffering on to someone else. Now, if someone pushes suffering on you, pushes hate on you, you shouldn't pass it on to someone else. And then right there, that shows that you are following the ways of God by not passing the suffering on. So you're suffering, but you're really, maybe you're blinding that person's hate. Maybe they have to kick the dog. Maybe you have to be the dog they have to kick, and then they feel better, And then all of a sudden, and then they get friends, and then be nice again, But if you hate them back, and then they kick some more dogs, kick you, Hate. If you hate someone that hates you, they're not going to love you back almost ever. But if you love someone that hates you, sometimes they might love you. Sometimes they'll get themselves together, Not always. A lot of times they won't. But hating them is definitely 100% not going to get them almost. All right, so mortal man often makes mistakes trying to perform something for the greater good. But God, who knows all perfectly, he knows all perfectly, performs acts which help the greater good. So my writing wasn't great back then, but you know what I'm saying. God, who knows all perfectly, he knows omnipotent, he performs acts which help the greater good. So God can do this for the greater good. People may run into problems in his life that they don't understand, but in the process of the problems, others may turn away from evil. What? The thing is that there's no way for immortals to know one thing in the world affects everything else. Oh, we're doing the affect effect. Yeah, this is a title called the affect effect. So everything affects everything, but a man can't really tell what everything's going to affect everything. We're in a big pool of people, and the best thing to do is spread love. But we don't know what other things will do. Surely we can strategize our Sure, we can strategize to lead our daily lives, but there's no way of determining how our actions changes everyone around us. Yet God does know every last detail of every atom in the universe and how they interact. I call the phenomena of one thing changing another the affect effect. And only God understands it completely. Affect effect is much like the butterfly effect. If you haven't heard of the butterfly effect, it's a Ben Affleck. I was freaking just watching Dogma last night. I just said earlier. If you've not heard of the butterfly effect, we'll just go with it. I like to say words weird because it sounds funnier and it keeps people's attention. If you have not heard about the butterfly effect before, it deals with the paradox of time travel. If someone travels back far enough in time, changes everything with a minor detail, a flap of butterfly's wings, change will propagate, so history will turn into different. Just a butterfly's flapping of the wings can change how history unfolds. One thing can influence how other things in ways man can understand. I watch hockey, and sometimes something routinely talked about is the fans' effect on games. The numbers prove that teams do better in home games than away games. Some people have attributed this to fans cheering. Is there any way to directly link one fan's cheering to the player scoring a goal? Of course not. But players do hear the fans, and the fans affect the players. We can figure out how some things immediately affect others, but we cannot figure out how everything, especially when managed is spiritual. I like that. I actually like this because, the fans cheering rile them up. There's been one very specific example where I feel like I helped the whole team win the game, and like I said, normally you can't. But I'm going to go in the bragger mode. This is normally probably not good. But there's one game, Afghani Malkin. He's called Gino. He likes to do fancy dancy. He's a superstar. He's not just a star hockey player. He's a superstar. But he doesn't turn on superstar all the time because if you try hard all the time and someone gets in your face, then you have nowhere else to ratchet up. But if you do like lazy hockey, you're a star. You play star hockey all day, and they get in your face. You're like, okay, I'll bring on superstar, and you have that next level to bring. And that's what Gino always did, right? He always had the next level. He had the next level in his pockets. It's almost like a fighter. I'll take it easy on you. We play hockey. This is our job. We have fun. But if you want to go with it, we'll freaking go, and I'll bring it on. I'll try, right? It's Afghani Malkin. He's a beautiful Russian hockey player. One of the other dude, he's just a beautiful human being, Afghani Malkin, right? So there's one game. Okay, there's one game. I'm in the stands, and it's the first period. Right off the bat. I'm gonna lay down because I like laying down. I'm doing it. I'm not trying to be impressed. I'm trying to tell you a story and tell you about God and stuff, and I'm just living my life. Okay, sometimes a mortal needs to lay down. We have Afghani Malkin. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins, Sidney Crosby. We had a stacked team back then, a good team. We have a good, solid championship team at that time. And but they got scored on within the first couple of minutes, and the crowd was like, yeah. And then within a minute or two, we got another goal, and the crowd was like, why come watch hockey today down in Pittsburgh? Hey, why you take me out here, please? Yeah, I could have been at home mowing the grass, but hey, let's go watch some hockey. Hey, now we got 2 more periods to watch where we're losing. We lost the game already. That's how a lot of people feel. There are a lot of people in the world who feel like when they start anything in life, it starts off bad. It looks like they're not going to win. They quit, and that happens. Is that's a mentality. It's a town's mentality. The whole Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. Hey, we're cynical. I'm going to tell you, Americans. Pennsylvanians are very cynical people. If it doesn't start good, if it doesn't start good, they're like, hey, it's not going to end good. They don't trust people. We're so used to getting ripped off in Pennsylvania. We don't trust people. Elon came in with his American PAC money, and he didn't pay everybody. Now, it was like you said, trust. Dude, he's putting signs in Elon we trust and stuff. I'm like, that's a little blasphemous and stuff. But as long as you pay us your money, hey, that's okay. But he didn't pay us the money, dude. Like Elon Musk didn't pay off all the money. And I said, dude, you lost Pennsylvania. You might be a good guy. You might think yourself a good guy. But Pennsylvanians are the most cynical people on the planet. And as much as I loved Elon before he started censoring people on Twitter, and I don't know if it's him or his employees, but he should have got wind of it. He was talking about the algorithm and stuff. He should have fixed it by now. So I'm not sure. I'm not being 100% against Elon. I know people hate him. I think the vandalism is coming from opponents like Apple and stuff. But that's neither here nor there. And I don't want to get into, like I said, I'm not. I used to be really pro Elon, really, really, really pro Elon. Now, like I said, I'm not I'm not anti-Elon. Like, dude, like, you're scratching up a car. Like, why do you scratch up that car? You can scratch up a Ford Taurus or like a Chevrolet or a Ford. Like, I mean, like, they want cars to be gone in America, right? So I'm 100% against the protests, 100% against race riots. That shit ain't American, man. That's not American. That's coming from foreign powers. Just want to destroy everything we own, dude. Destroy everything we own. We don't own anything, and they run us over in war, right? So no, that protest. That's bullshit, dude. If you protest, you burn a Tesla or something, you're a shit human being. Go to jail, dude. Why don't you go rob a liquor store, asshole? I'm sorry. See, there's my language. You know, it pisses me off when people. It's the moral thing to do is to destroy stuff. No, it's not. That guy probably. What if that's a scientific researcher? What if that guy, that Tesla? You know, people who buy Teslas are normally like scientists and intellectuals too. What if that person was going to go into work today and he was going to discover the breakthrough, the cure your kid's cancer, right? But you just fucking burn his car. You know, like, I'm sorry, I dropped the F-bomb. I'm so against protesting it. I'm so against vandalism. It's just terrorism. This is just straight terrorism. Okay, anyway, like I said, I'm gonna reel it back. It makes me so mad to think that people can just go and hurt people's cars. That's like attacking someone on the street and saying, "Oh, you deserve it." You know, because you're this person or that person. You're of that group. You deserve to just die. It's like, oh, that's like the fact that we live in a society where we accept news that lies to us. Oh, well, let me ratchet down. Okay. I'm not thinking about my car burning. Okay. So Elon, I used to hold him in high. For a while, I didn't hold him in high regards. My boss told me to hold him in high regards. I told him not to be liberal. He didn't. He ended up not being liberal. I told him to stop using lobbyists to fight against the internal combustion car. He really listened to like stuff I said, right? I even told him to buy Twitter. So he might not identify as me. He might be identified as like, you know, the collective. You know, you push one person, like, you stand in the middle of the river, you know. You know, if the river's not too slighted, you know, if the river. So you might think the river is flowing downhill, but maybe the river's just actually just completely even. If you stand in the way of the tide, well, then it pushes it back, and you can push it this way, you know, and then you encourage other people to push it. So it's not always just me telling Elon directly, you know. It's obviously that I can tell, and other people could agree with me, and it's just a communal thing. But he did a lot of things I said. Like, I told him they needed a new CEO for Twitter. He bought Twitter. Right? I told him to expose the algorithms. He exposed the algorithms. Now, he didn't necessarily do it from what I said, but he's changed a lot, and I was really impressed with it, right? But when he bought Twitter, my account, he got my account unbanned, but then eventually got shadow banned. So even though I was buying premium, I just wasn't heard. So my opinion, I think Elon doesn't know he has moles, but that's neither here nor there. Let's go back to where we're coming from. I'm gonna try to reel back because it makes dude. If you're not mad that people were burning people's cars, then you wouldn't be mad if someone burnt your car, right? It's like do unto others that you would let them do unto you. And it's like they just want to go to work, dude. Maybe they want to save money. I mean, a lot of people get Teslas because they want to save money on gasoline, dude. You know. Oh yeah. So we're talking about the one. I'm gonna go back to Bragger mode. Okay, we'll go back to Bragger. This is a fun story. Let's go back to Bragger mode. We're at Penn's game. Team goes down 0-2. So let's say in the first 5 minutes, the entire arena is quiet. You can hear a pin drop at the place, right? And it's like they're going up and down with ice. And like what happens is in hockey, as in many sports, if the whole team isn't there, you can't win the game, right? So if the team doesn't believe it's going to win, like your defense are not going to be like kicking their ass, going up the ice to catch to like a 5-man play. You know, it's good to have an umbrella. You know, a whole 5 men and the umbrella and then try to score by having all your guys positioned. But if you feel like you've lost the game, man, you're skating like half-assed up the ice, and you might not be in position, right? This is professional hockey. Do this. Professional hockey players are still just kids, man. They're not militaristic, dude. They're getting paid. They're getting paid, for the superstar talent. Maybe, hey, look, I can score goals a lot, so why would I have to skate as hard, And then they're like on easy. A lot of these guys are easy life. People think, oh, why do they get paid so much? They don't even try, And some of them don't put all the full effort into it. I mean, it's a factual thing. It's how life is, man. Why would you hurt your breath and everything? Why would you kick your ass if it looks like you're fated to lose? I mean, when you're an adult and you're mature, when you're really, really an adult and you're really, really mature, You like the fights that you think you're not going to lose because you're going to fight just as hard. And the fights even if you think you're going to lose this fight, it's like, I'm still going to fight it. We're still going to go down. We're gonna do this as best I can, man. That shows the maturity of a true adult. Okay. Well, these guys they're 20 something, they're 18s, you know. So this is how it is. I'm telling you how sports is, man. There's people who will check out, and when they check out, you can't win because you need that guy. You need to rely on that guy to be there, and if he's not, then you're like, why would I try? He's not trying, and it's like a coalescing. Okay, so and then the other team knows it, so they play a more defensive style, and then they'll just pick you apart, right? So going down in a hockey game, 2-0 loss is they say it's the worst lead in hockey because it makes you overconfident. It's fun to play that pick apart. Well, the team's like you're abusing your opponent's bad morale to just play a mechanical game of hockey, and everybody's and you don't have to try. They're not trying, so you don't have to try, right? So, but what happens is, and this is the beautiful part, if they do try, you have to try. And they don't. A lot of people who would 2-0 hockey league, they don't want to try. Like, we already won the game. Why do we have to try? Why are these guys even doing this? And it pisses them off, and it throws them into chaos, right? You can throw a team into chaos by making them. I mean, there's a switch in your brain. Do I want to try or just want to? Hey, it's mellow. I'm vibing. Oh no, that guy's making me do stuff. This guy's making me do stuff, right? And then that's like an aggressive type of hockey. It drains you and it's stress, right? So I knew that. And I knew we're talking about Evgeny Malkin. He's the only one that could solve this game. The only one that can save the team is Evgeny Malkin, because remember, he's a superstar. A superstar. No, he's not just a star. He's a superstar, and he likes to do it fancy dancy. Oh, like I don't know. Like, I don't watch Zoolander, but like, he likes to be flamboyant sometimes. He can be a flamboyant straight male, and it screws with people, right? So anyway, every time Gino got the puck, okay. I'm bragging right now. I'm bragging. I mean, this is how deep I think about it. Every time Gino got the puck, I went like, Gino! I'm like yelling. I'm loud. I'm already the loudest person in this. You can hear me in the stadium when people are cheering. I'm loud. I went Trump rally. I'm yelling. I went down to Kevin Smith. I'm yelling. People look at me back like, what the hell's your problem? But I know when to yell and when not to, right? I know how to amp up the thing. I know when not to be. I don't hate the word a-hole, but like, some people yell over top people. I know how to amp up the atmosphere, right? I'm like this. That's what I do. I love to yell in public. I'm sorry. I like to yell in a closed theater, and it makes everybody else loosen up. Yeah, they like some people think this wild idiots back there. It's like, yeah, why am I not a wild idiot? You know, and then they leave the stadium smiling. I get handshakes. People like smiling, like, yeah, you know what's going on. Like, everywhere I go, man. And it's beautiful to leave a place and everybody's like, that was awesome. I had an awesome time because of you. And I'm like, yeah. You know, I'm not joking, dude. I have people congratulate me because I know how to amp people up, right? But this is just like the best situation ever. The crowd's not cheering, right? So the whole team's not going to get back into it. But I knew I could get one man into it. So every time Chino got the puck, I'm like, Chino! And Evgeny Malkin's like, oh, I got this. So Gino, he's just doing dancing stuff, just to like he's doing trick plays around like players to make him look like, you know, like showboating, right? Gino started to turn showboat mode on, right? It's like, hey, we've lost the game, but look at me, I can throw the puck around your back. And, oh no, I beat you. Oh, and then like, you know, he's making the team, like he's making their team like scurry, like 2 or 3 people go on the team, and all of a sudden our team's like, oh, there's opening, and it was inspiring our team a little bit to get into it. And then they would go back, and then everybody bet flat-footed. Gino gets back, I'm like, Gino! I'm like yelling it. Oh, it was one of the best games ever. And he's like, he does his fancy dance, his superstars. He was doing weird stuff like spins and going around the back of the net. It was almost like watching like Looney Tunes. I mean, he was having a good time, and the crowd's like, yeah, like you hear the crowd getting like, yeah, Gino, that's cool. And they're like, it's nothing, dude. That's just Gino being goofball. You know, you feel a little stir in the crowd, right? And then like, you know, you see Gino doing other people like at Gino and everything. Then it dies down. A couple of shifts. He's like, yeah, and then he scores. He just freaking scored on him. And everybody's like, it was like quiet for a second. Then everyone was like, yeah, right, Gino, yeah. And everybody in the crowd's like, yeah. And then the other people are yelling the fucking Gino, yeah. And he's doing wild stuff. And the other team, they say 2-0 is the worst league in hockey. Well, now it's 2-1. And the other team's like really, really just not, you can tell they're not into it. You can tell they're scrambling for Gino. Our team has a little bit of step in it. It's a 1-0 game where it's only like 13 minutes into the game or something, and it's like, oh, and then Gino gets another goal within like 5 minutes. So it's 2-0 going in like the second period or something, and the other team is just like they're decimated. They had no will to live at that point because they knew one man beat him. Like let's say it's not me, it's Gino obviously, but like that was a point where you can brag. It's a bragger. Like a lot of times, you can't tell the affect effect. You don't know the collective power of the crowd to cheer for someone, to make people go on. And like I cheer for you out there. People watching this video, whoever your name is, yeah, you kick ass, dude. I helped a guy. I had a guy who had some problems last night with bar problems, right? I won't get into it, but he really needed me to be there. He's like, the random people at the bar, they all cared about me. I never knew them, and they all came around and cared for me. And you came over and cared for me. He said, I realized most people do love me. I just don't talk to them. I'm like, yeah, most people do love you, but you don't get out of your house or something. Go, if you're out there and you're playing Xbox and you're bored, why don't you go down to the Dollar General and try to make friends with the staff? If they're busy, don't bother them, right? Go to the post office. Talk to the postal workers sometimes. If they're not busy, they might want to talk to you. You can tell if someone wants to talk to you, not. You can go to a medical clinic, talk to the assistant, talk to the doctor, make friends with them, You go to insurance agencies. Go everywhere you have no business being and just make friends with those people. And then say, like, if you're in the city, you got that. You go to a gas station in local town, you maybe knock on your neighbor's house if you look really rural and say, hey, you need your grass mowed. Can I pick up sticks? Is there anything I do in your lawn? You go out there and you make friends with everybody and you help them. DoorDash for like people in the you free DoorDash for people who live in the city, and when you make friends with them and everything, and they love you. You don't have to do stuff for them to love you. You'll find out people love you not for what you do, just because you're there. We like humanity. Most people in humanity like other humanity, That's one of the beautiful things. You're loved, That's what I want to tell you. You're loved, all right? Let's get on. So we don't know how everybody's affecting. How everybody's cheering is going to affect everybody. God knows how you're running out of hot water for your shower. Oh, God, please. Know how keeping you... God knows how running you out of hot water will keep you alert later. God knows how keeping you in traffic and late from work may keep you from being in an accident. God knows how putting you in an accident may save someone out from hell. Now, of course, always pray when you get in a vehicle you won't have an accident. Neither am I prayed for a safe journey. I'm just going to skim this because everything happens according to God's purpose. For some, sorry, I'm spacing out. Actually, you know what? Let's make this a two-parter. You can read affect effect. I'll put it in the description. I just feel good. I want to end it on like everybody loves you. If people, most people do love you. You might not know them. People love humanity by just you being there, man. Or lady. Whatever, whoever you are, know you're loved. God really loves you. I'm making this video. I hope you know you're loved. I want everybody to know they're loved, man. It's not about the stuff. It's about, it's not about money. It's not about material. It's about the spiritual, the love, the camaraderie, the helping, And that's where it's at, Die to selfishness so you can live for others. All right, let's call this one. You're loved out there. You're loved.